Arguing with me is like being a broken elevator. You'll be wrong on many levels. Hey there, kiddos, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Uncle Frank, and that you are having a great day. And in today's video, I'd like to sit back in my stupid chair, relax, and have a little conversation with all of you guys about bulk, sales volume, and the upcoming Cyber Weekend sale. And just discuss some completely anecdotal goings-ons here in the garage. I suppose I'll start by talking about the bulk side of things before moving on to the anecdotal story. And that is, as we approach Cyber Weekend, I do sincerely hope that all of you other TCG player sellers out there are taking what time we have left to add as much stuff to your inventory as possible, because it is the big sale. Sales volume, in my experience, the last 3 years at the very least that I've been keeping track of it, sales volume has definitely gone super high on any day that they're doing the 10% cashback thing, store credit thing. Sorry, every time TCG player does this store credit, whether it's 8% or 10%, whatever, there's always a big uptick in sales because obviously, right? It's free money or free product basically, 10% free product. You know, buy a $100 box, get a $10 card you might like down the road, right? So I suppose this is just my reminder that, hey, if you've got a lot of bulk that you've been maybe putting off adding to your inventory, now's a really good time to consider it. And I'm not saying add all the bulk you have. In fact, you know, I feel like in my previous videos when I talk about bulk, I really fail to stress that I do have a limit when it comes to how much bulk I add to my inventory from a given set. And I don't really talk about that a lot. And I suppose I'll use this opportunity to say, me personally, when I am adding lots of bulk to the inventory, I do have limits based on the card gaming question. And that's limits in terms of how many copies of a given bulk card I'll have in the inventory at one time. For example, okay, so like in Yu-Gi-Oh!, since I know Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a slow seller, I try to have no more than 20 copies of a given Yu-Gi-Oh! Card in my inventory at any one time. There are some exceptions to that. If I notice a particular card from a set is selling really good, even at bulk rates, I will have more copies of it, even all the copies, if I have a lot and it's a good seller. But for a game like Flesh and Blood, where, especially with some of the older sets, where I'm noticing an increase in sales volume, I'll have closer to 40 or even 50 cards for the really older sets if I have them available. Obviously, I'm not going to have 50 cards in the inventory if I don't actually have the 50 copies. You guys know what I'm saying. It's just that 40 or 50 is the max. You guys get what I'm saying. I don't need to go into super detail about that. As for the rest of it, you know, some of it just sticks around in the garage here until enough of it's sold for me to re-add stuff to the inventory. But I do sell bulk lots. Sometimes they sell really well, too. But for the most part, yeah. It's not that I recklessly throw all the bulk cards onto TCG Player, because you guys know that bulk doesn't super sell all that fast, especially if it is really, like, undesirable bulk. Like, junk, common, vanilla, green creature from, I don't know, revised edition. Does Woolly Mammoth sell? Does Giant Spider sell from revised? I should look into adding those cards to the inventory. I have some revised cards. I just don't ever add them to the inventory because I'm like, it's so old. I want to hold on to it, right? But I'm getting off track. I'm getting super off topic. So, just as a quick reminder, hey, the big sale's coming this weekend. You might want to add anything to the inventory that you've been holding off. And now is not a bad time to add, like, damaged cards, damaged Pokemon cards, for instance, especially if they're older damaged Pokemon cards. I tend to have the opinion that if it's not near mint or as close to near mint as possible, lightly played, etc., I, at the very least, do not list it on TCG Player, because in my personal experience, if it's not near mint or light played, it basically doesn't sell ever. But there seems to be an exception when it comes to Pokemon. If you have a vintage Pokemon card, it doesn't matter if it's near mint or damaged, somebody's going to want it. So just putting that out there as well. That is your PSA from Uncle Frank for the weekend. Now let's move on to the weird anecdotal part, and that is I am seeing a crazy uptick in sales and orders since basically last Wednesday. I would say Wednesday or Tuesday, but Wednesday is when I really noticed it, and Thursday was when it was really bad. Thursday, I had a crap load of orders. Just for the caveat here, so I'm not a huge store. I don't have a gargantuan inventory, 150,000 cards or so. So I don't have a huge inventory. I don't even have a lot of expensive cards. I don't think I have any card in my inventory right now that's over like $10, and that's not a lot. But in this last week, there's been a huge uptick in sales, and where I usually get 10 to 15 orders per day, I've been regularly getting well over 20 orders. Thursday, I had like 40 plus, and it's been, I think Friday was 30, Saturday was 25, Sunday was 25 plus, and now today, this is Monday as I'm recording this, I've had over 30 orders today too, and that boggles the mind because last year, in the weeks leading up to the big cyber sale, there was a huge decline in orders I was receiving every day. In fact, I was like, last year at the very least, my thoughts were, I really hope that I get a lot of sales for Cyber Weekend because this is not great. Here, it's the complete opposite. So now I'm kind of wondering, like, TCG Player advertises the crap out of this 10% store credit sale. So it's not like these people aren't aware that there's a sale going on. There's just something else going on. And I do keep track of my Magic the Gathering sales, Flesh and Blood, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Force of Will, Digimon. Those are the card games I specifically track my sales numbers for, okay? Everything else gets filed into the other category because day to day, the individual sales for those card games are always going to be lower than the other ones, unless it's a release weekend. So like Weiss Schwartz release weekend is going to have more sales than average, right? Obviously. So over the last week, I've been keeping track, and I've been looking at my spreadsheet, and there's been a huge uptick in sales for Yu-Gi-Oh! And Flesh and Blood, and that's crazy to me. Flesh and Blood has always been trailing up and down. It's had its up and downs, but it always tends to trail behind Magic the Gathering. But in the last week, it's been mostly Flesh and Blood, and a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Too. And I just thought that was an interesting anecdote to bring up. Obviously, I don't know. Maybe the world situation from Flesh and Blood changed some things. I don't know. I do follow some content creators for more gameplay-oriented Flesh and Blood discussions, but I wasn't really tuned into anything. So like I watched Sloop Dupe, for instance, for Flesh and Blood, and I don't think I heard anything on his channel lately that would give me cause to think Flesh and Blood would skyrocket in sales. And I watch, who's a good content creator I watch for Yu-Gi-Oh? House of Champs? I do watch a lot of House of Champs videos. I watch basically all of his videos. And I can't think of anything going on in Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now that would cause a sales increase beyond Genesis, but the Genesis spike, it felt, died down after the first week or so. Maybe the God card scrolls wouldn't change anything. No one cares about those. They are serialized, though. I suppose I should talk about the serialized God cards at some point. That would be interesting. Yu-Gi-Oh! Topic for another video, but Konami is getting into the serialized card game, so that's interesting. But yeah, so this video is just me at midnight reminding you, if you are on TCG Player, hey, go add those cards to your inventory that you've been putting off. And B, weird uptick in sales, and I just felt like talking about it. So that's all I got. No crazy news, no vast secrets of life to discuss, no no crazy stories, just weird anecdotes. That's all I got for you kids. Thank you for sitting through this video. If you watched all the way to the end, please like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. And do you have a content creator you'd like me to add to my playlist? Because now that I'm thinking about it, I should probably have more content creators in my subscription feed. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you later.